They say when life hands you lemons, you must make lemonade, and Formula One did just that by announcing 3 old but still new tracks to this year's schedule, and we're going to discuss it in this episode of Inside the Lines. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the episode here on the channel. My name is Jet Krause, and today I'm going to get you filled in with everything you need to know regarding today's announcement, with Formula One announcing that 3 new tracks have been added onto the schedule to replace the America's racetracks. The U.S. Grand Prix, the Brazilian Grand Prix, and the Mexican Grand Prix have been canceled due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Well, F1 needs to replace those racetracks, and they announced that they're going to be replacing them with the Nurburgring in Germany, Portimao in Portugal, and Imola in Italy. So let's start off with the Nurburgring. No, it's not the Nordschleife circuit. Trust me, I would like for that track to be on the schedule, but it's never going to happen in Formula One. Even though this year has proved that literally anything can happen, I don't think we can go that far. But Nürburgring does have a deep history with Formula One. Since then, it has ran under numerous names. It's run under the German Grand Prix, which is most famously known as. It's also run under the European Grand Prix, ran 12 times, with the last one being in 2007. We all know what happened in that race in 2007. It was just an absolute madness, with cars slipping and sliding everywhere. It's also ran under the Luxembourg Grand Prix twice in 97 and 98. Now, in the later years, like I said, 2007 was the last time it hosted a race under the European Grand Prix. From 2008 to 2013, it alternated with the Hockenheimring circuit for the German Grand Prix. The last race held at Nürburgring was back in 2013. Sebastian Vettel, who drove for Red Bull at the time, won the race. There's also more numerous examples of just really great moments from the Nürburgring. Look at back in 1995 with Michael Schumacher and Jean Alesi. Mark Webber, he's scoring his first victory back in 2009. And on top of that, it's taking place in October, and if you know German weather in October, it adds even more of a surprising element into this race, which should make things even spice up that much more. Now, Portimao has had brushes with F1 in the past. It was used for testing back in 2008 and 2009, but for the first time, the heart of the Algarve region in southern Portugal will be making its F1 debut in 2020. The track was first built back in 2008 and was mainly used first for sports car and touring car racing, as well as superbike racing. However, as the country as a whole, the last time the Portuguese Grand Prix took place in F1 was back all the way in 1996 in Estoril, which was won by Jacques Villeneuve for Williams. Now, another racetrack that, like the Nürburgring, that is drenched in F1 history is Imola in Italy. It first hosted its first F1 race, although a non-championship event, back in 1963 when Jim Clark won for Lotus. Now, while this track has had a lot of high moments, it unfortunately has a lot of very low moments. For example, it was a track that took the life of Roland Ratzenberger and 3-time world champion Ayrton Senna back in that horrible 1994 San Marino Grand Prix weekend. 12 years after that fatal accident, it was last run on a calendar in 2006 when it was won by Michael Schumacher for Ferrari. But what can we expect from Imola? Well, according to AlphaTauri, drivers are going to love the racetrack. They held a test at Imola ahead of the first race of the season in Austria, and their drivers, Daniel Kvyat and Pierre Gasly, just raved about the racetrack. Kvyat talked about how it was very old school, quite bumpy, with the curves being challenging. He also talked about how having these high-speed corners with such little runoff area makes you feel that you're at the limit of the car. And there's also going to be something completely different, something that is not traditional with Formula One. Usually in F1, they have 3-day weekend with practice on Friday, qualifying on Saturday, and the race on Sunday. Well, this time it's going to be a 2-day format, with the teams expected to have just one practice session to prepare ahead of qualifying and then the race. This is going to be very interesting to see, because now this means the teams are going to be limited on practice and dialing up their cars, and it's going to be a huge challenge to see how these teams are going to be able to pack in 2 days of information to the race cars to get them ready for Sunday. Now, I know a lot of people were hoping that when F1 announced that they were coming back to Imola later on in 2020, that they were going to revise the San Marino Grand Prix, but it's not going to be the case. In fact, it's going to be called the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. This is to pay respect or to honor the region that it's located in. But like I said, the only real reason why these races were added onto the schedule was because it was announced earlier today that Brazil, USA, Mexico, and Canadian Grand Prix have all been canceled for the 2020 season. Formula One said that the decision was, quote, due to the fluid nature of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, local restrictions, and the importance of keeping communities and our colleagues safe, and has been made after ongoing discussions and close collaboration with the respective partners in the affected countries. With those 3 tracks added onto the calendar, let's take a look now at the revised, or at least the newest update to F1 schedule. Round 4 next week in Great Britain for the British Grand Prix, the 31st of July to the 2nd of August. Then round 5 is right back in the UK in Silverstone for the 70th anniversary Grand Prix. Round 6 in Spain, the 14th to the 16th of August. Round 17, Belgium in Spa. And then round 8 and round 9, both in Italy. Round 8 in Monza, and then round 9 in Mugello. 2 weeks later, round 10, Sochi in Russia, the 25th of September to the 27th. And then round 11, the newest addition to the schedule, the Nurburgring in Germany from the 9th to the 11th of October. Round 12, the debut of Portimao in Portugal from the 23rd to the 25th of October. And then finally, round 13, for the first time since 2006, Imola makes a return to F1 from the 31st of October to the 1st of November. And as you see there, further races will be announced in the coming weeks. Now, I do find it funny, though, that I think this is the first time, I could be mistaken, but I think this is the first time that Formula 1 is going to be going to Italy 3 times. And yet, this is probably Ferrari's worst year. I mean, I feel so bad for Ferrari fans. Look, if you're a NASCAR fan, if you're a Jimmy Johnson fan, then we understand your pain, being used to success, and now you're now going through I guess a year of dreadful racing. So I feel bad for you Ferrari fans, because 3 times you're going to Italy and yet y'all suck. But with that aside, I'm still very happy of this announcement that Formula 1 will be going to 2 historic racetracks in Germany and Imola. Those 2 tracks are drenched with F1 history, and I think it's rather fitting that for the 70th anniversary of Formula 1, we're going back into the past and reliving tracks that, like I said, has just been in F1 for decades. And also spice up a bit of new into the mix by adding Portugal, a track that's never been on the F1 schedule, making its debut. So hey, even though with all the bad stuff that has happened with COVID-19 and everything that's going on in the world with racing and stuff like that, this is something good, something good for us to look forward to. So good job for Formula 1, and I'm very excited for the rest of the season. Regardless of how dominant Mercedes might be, I'm still very excited for Formula 1, and very, very excited to see what those 3 tracks do hold. But that's going to conclude this episode of Inside Lines. Guys, tell me in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts on these announcements? What are your thoughts on Germany, Portugal, and Imola? What do you think is going to produce the best amount of racing? What do you think is not going to produce the best amount of racing? Again, leave all your thoughts down below. But that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Jett from MDK. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys next time.